Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to the Future History Project. I'm quite late with this final book in Robots and Aliens, Book 6, called Humanity by Jerry Oltion. They all have interesting covers. I'm sort of glad this is the final book. To me, there's no question that his two books, book 4 and 6 here, are the best of the 12 Robot City books. So we've got the gang. That's Avery, Ariel, Derek, Mandelbrot, Woolroof, Adam, Eve, Lucius, all returning to the original Robot City, but there's no city there. It's all forested, and it's the tower is still there, and they land. It's a bit of a crash landing, a little bit, but they survive. And what's happened is, because when Derek left, he asked them to create a biosphere type thing. He didn't. They just took, or the computer took it literally and changed the whole planet back. And so there's robotic trees with some real animals, and it's disconcerting to them. But there is a city underground. So they stay underground, but Avery is not pleased at this. He thinks Derek is, screwed up again. And the three robots were sort of in a communication fugue in a storage locker of the spaceship, and they sort of forgot about them just accidentally. And Avery has them brought into a lab, and he wants to finally dissect them and find out. So he does that, and it's a bit of a horrifying scene the way it's created, because the characters of Adam, Eve, and Lucius are almost they've been portrayed interestingly, flawed and stupid at times, and impetuous. But he wake like they wake. Well, actually, he wants to sample of their cells. So he amputates, he cuts off one of Lucius's legs, and Lucius wakes up while this is happening, and it's actually well done, and it's a bit shocking, it's like somebody waking up to find out that their leg is being cut off. But he just sort of deactivates them, and they're just sort of a blobish material, and they put them in a magnetic field, so it destroys their positronic brains. But before this, he did connect their brains up to sort of record everything. So by the time he flees that lab, because he realizes Derek is probably on this case, and he also realizes that his wife Janet has shown up on the planet, most likely. She has, and will be looking for him as well. So he lights out of there, and he has the city create a lab out in the forest that looks like just a huge boulder. And so Derek finds the robots, and he sort of plops out their positronic brains, and he realizes they're kaput. But he realizes also that there's probably enough, or possibly enough, information downloaded that he could reconstruct their brains with probably some memory loss. So he gets new positronic brains, plop them into the sort of soup that they are created of, and sort of downloads the cubes of information, the memory cubes. And they do come back. Lucius, reconstructs himself, but he's a bit shorter because he's lost a bit of body. So his legs. So he becomes a bit shorter. So they're a bit stunned and confused. Lucius is sort of the character is drawn that he's damaged by this, like mentally damaged. These are not normal robots. That's been clear from the beginning. So anyway, they're sort of figuring things out, and um, Janet shows up, the mother, and Ariel sort of, well, they sort of meet in the lab because Ariel's going back looking for Avery, but she shows up, and then Avery shows up at the same time, and she sends her robot Balsam after them. But at this time, Lucius is sort of in communication with that robot, and Avery turns with a laser scalpel, I think it is, to try to stop the robot. So uh, Lucius and them, like we've seen for quite a while, they've been trying to figure out what humans are, and they sort of think that they could be human. But Lucius just determines that Balsam is probably human, so he's got to stop Avery from, killing him. So he sort of does something with his hand and stuff, and he throws it, and what it does is it severs the hand that Avery was holding for the weapon. So he's attacked, like he's going a little bit crazy, that he thinks, and the others to do as well. So in order to sort of restrain him and stop him, they have to sort of rip his body apart. And then finally, Mandelbrot locates the power cube, and just rips it out. So he's sort of no power. So Avery is getting his hand reconnected and everything like that. Derek sort of wakes up to this sort of news, and he rushes there. Woolworth was out talking to a wolf that he had met earlier, like a robot wolf, and asking if he's thinking of taking the robot, or Woolworth, she is thinking of taking the robots back to her people, but she's not certain about it because she's afraid that they work on sort of short term. They don't look ahead, but the three robots, like Adam, Eve, and Lucius, have been working on a zeroth law as well, and laws of humanity, and they sort of figure that there is a law, the zeroth law, that oversees the sort of individual, possibly, that you got to look long term and look at the betterment of humanity. Sometimes that you would allow a human to die or get hurt, and that's where he made that decision, thinking that Balsam was human, and to protect them, and he cut the hand off of Avery. So they sort of realize that, and they think, well, he's probably not, it's like his reasons were correct, but he acted too quickly. He made a mistake. So they revive him as well. And Janet sort of she's talking to Adam, and it's like her purpose of creating them was sort of to create a blank slate, and to let them grow, and possibly grow into like human intelligence. And she thinks that has actually succeeded. And she also finds out, Mandelbrot finds out who he is, or at least from the arm that was made of the Dionite that can morph into different things. It was a robot that once she left purposely cells for Avery to grow and expand, and as soon as it got so far, this robot was supposed to come to find her, but that sort of screwed up, and it's a little unclear there, but or I missed it. I was dozing off, but I think it's like has to do with Derek sort of winding up on the asteroid as well. Sort of something happened, and so Mandelbrot, gets some information from his arm when he was, the name designation was changed to Mandelbrot, but not all the other stuff to find her, because he only has half of it. But anyway, it sort of turns out to be sort of happy families at the end, to a certain extent. Like Janet is back with Avery, at least for a night, but she realizes that it's nothing that's going to last forever, that kind of thing. And Woolworth has decided she will take robots back to her society, but they want to have robots to look forward to the future to plan, and because the robots basically turn around and say, well, we don't need to do that, the humans do that. But Woolworth points out that humans don't do that. So and her people won't do that either. They'll become lazy and corrupt, and so they figure, okay, well, they will use the uh, the uh, the I think the well, she calls them information machines, and the Adam, Eve, and Lucius. So they'll become sort of mayors. They'll have the job to do this kind of thing, to look ahead and prepare things, and the all the technology there is patented, so they're going to sell it to other cultures, other planets throughout the galaxy. That was the plan. But then there's the other robots that are getting together near the end. There are saying that any interference that we do is not good, because we are going to take off the evolution of and the growth of humanity by doing this. So they decide that they will subtly change things over time to make it so humans will rely on themselves and not robots, which is interesting because I was trying to figure out how this is going to be, because it doesn't fit in with the Isaac Asimov future history universe. But okay, that explains it, because it could take decades or 100 years or 1,000 years, but the robots will they'll make sure that they go into the background, or at least that's the plan for this. I found it very good, a very interesting thing, and an interesting story, and it was a sort of fitting end in a sense. The very last section about Derek being wakened up by two people, it almost like, I don't know if they're young people or not, to go fishing, and that seemed a little confusing to me, but okay. But yeah, I did enjoy um, the story and the writing. I think it's the best, and it's like it was like a long time to get to this conclusion, but the author was better with it, and I think he did well to bring these things together as best as he could, because they were quite dispersed throughout the 12 novels, because I'm counting the original the first Robot City 6 as well. So it's like after almost 1,800 pages, it's finally resolved to a certain extent, with a lot of questions still, but I thought it worked out okay. It was too long for what it was, and I'm glad it's over. But there's a quote here. Well, it's actually quite good. There's many things, but there's this one. The robots are talking. The four of them: Mandelbrot, Adam, Eve, and Lucius, and they're asked a question. Like, they're basically talking. They're being asked by Ariel, and that like, what do you do in X situation? Do you kill a human to save others, or for the betterment of humanity? What do you do in these circumstances? And this here is talking about in influencing and changing sort of humans, and he's being asked this, and Lucius asks internally this, and he says, Mandelbrot says, the correct answer is no. Mandelbrot sent without hesitation. You are sure? And this, I think that's Lucius, and he says, absolutely. Thousands of years of missionary work on Earth and another millennium in space have answered that question definitely. One may persuade by logic, but to impose a foreign moral code by force invariably destroys the receiving civilization. Often the backlash of guilt destroys the enforcing civilization as well. Also, it can be argued that even persuading by logic is not the best interest of either civilization, as that leads to a loss of natural diversity, which is unhealthy for any complex, irrelated system such as a society. And he asks, how do you know this? I read over Ariel's shoulder. I thought that was just brilliant, because I didn't expect at all from Robot. And there's a few things like that throughout. So this wasn't an entertaining book, and as I say, I do apologize for being late with this. This should have been past last Thursday, but it's the end of that, and then now we're moving on to 3 robot mysteries by Mark W. Tideman. T-I, yeah, I sometimes I sort of say Tidyman. These are actually, like, I've got actually a couple editions of this because I bought some of the hardcovers, but the hardcovers appear to be only book club edition. So I got a couple of them, and I wasn't happy with this, that they're book club. But I couldn't find anything else, and then one wasn't coming. It was just really late. So I figured, okay, forget about that. And then I found a really cheap set of the paperbacks, the original large, oversized paperbacks. And so I ordered that. Very cheap, like, I mean, extremely cheap. These were less than like £1.50 each. I think is like not even that. So I really got a good deal with these. And then the other one showed up. So somewhere around here, I don't only have the paperbacks. They're a bit rough, but I've got hardcovers. They're rough around the edges, dust jackets, but they're the book club editions, hardcovers, which is fine. So I got 2 editions, so I'll read these because I found them. And the first one is Mirage, and it was published in 2000 by iBooks, I think it is. Give me a date. Yeah, 2000. It's Byron Press Visual Publications, and iBooks incorporated book. And then the second one is Chimera, and this somebody's plane boarding pass and tickets are in here. Okay, where did they go? Let's see. Where did they go? Kenyan. Oh no, that's the passenger. Where are they going? Departure time. Minneapolis. Oh, they're Minneapolis, St. Paul. Oh, where Clifford Simak was. Hey, that's kind of the Twilight Zone. Anyway, so this was 2001, and I assume the third one, Aurora, will be 2002. Can I guess that far ahead based on the first 2? No, 2000. Yeah, 2002. So yeah, but we'll be reading this, and it's only 1 book a week now, but it's still about to say it's a little bigger. They're 400 pages. This is 450, so it's a lot. I'll read these over the couple days, but it's a bit of a push for these. I know for everybody, but I don't want this project to last into next year. We've got a couple weeks grace at the end of the year because it's 50 weeks the whole thing. So it should have been 49, but I screwed up and I doubled up a book for a week. But yeah, so 50 weeks it is, and I really don't want to take it much more than that. So yeah, so Thursday, fingers crossed, I will get a video up about Mirage, the first robot mystery. I have high hopes for these. I've heard good things about these. The other ones I'd heard sort of variable, sort of scuttlebutt, but these I've heard good things. So fingers crossed that we're now onto something that's good. Anyway, I'll see you next time, BookTube. Take care.